Hi everyone, this is a very quick video today to unpack this idea that Shirley Jackson's We've Always Lived in the Castle could be interpreted as a fractured fairy tale. Now, if you haven't watched my video on the overall structure of the text, I highly recommend you view that first and then come back here after, because today I'm going to be recapping fairy tales and fractured fairy tales and making the case that We've Always Lived in the Castle is a fractured fairy tale, and then briefly at the end also mention why this is important for an analysis. So, fairy tales and their conventions. These were originally told orally throughout history. They are stories for children to teach them about the world around them, particularly as it pertains to morals and values. There are tons of famous fairy tales, and some of the most famous were written down, not created, but written down by Anderson and the Grimm brothers. And according to this resource here, the cultural norms represented in fairy tales play a large part in the socialization processes of children, and contained within those cultural norms are the shared beliefs about gender roles. And I think it's very easy to try and, ignore this and think, we don't have to look at gender when it comes to everything. But I think fairy tales are really crucial that we unpack what they say about women. Now, if we look at some of the features of a fairy tale, here are some generic conventions. And here's a little bit more information about that gender piece, that fairy tales often define women as beautiful objects. Think of your classic fairy tale princess. They are powerless to alter the events in their lives, while the fairy tale men are often powerful agents of their own destiny. They're often the heroes. There are characters within these tales who defied these descriptions. However, their defiance comes with a price. Powerful women of fairy tales are generally ugly, if not also evil. Think of your classic witch character. The exception to this rule is the wise woman or fairy godmother. However, these powerful women are still separated from traditional fairy tale women in that they are not truly human. Parsons also puts it well when they say that in many traditional tales, the princess is rewarded with a prince and the security of marriage, and that this is the result of the heroine's submission and suffering, along with her beauty rather than her agency. So that's a really brief recap of fairy tales. Let's now look at a fractured fairy tale. These are rewritten, altered, or reimagined fairy tales. They have different perspectives, different settings, different endings, different beginnings, and they are altered in a way that makes them more current. So they respond to more current social issues, messages, and morals. And here are some of my favorite examples. So let's look at our text. We've always lived in the castle. Is it a fractured fairy tale? According to Lynch, and I think she makes a brilliant case here, it's really crucial to think about a fractured fairy tale that one of the key elements is the questioning of these gender norms and expectations. That looking at the role of a princess or women in general in a fairy tale and kind of flipping that on its head. Prince Charles could represent our, knight in shining armor, but that also has been subverted here in that he comes to the castle to rescue the princess, but he is actually a villain, and a gothic villain dressed up as a would-be savior. She also claims that the interloper is thwarted finally by the princess's willful, dangerous, and slightly deranged sister, Maricat. So here we've kind of got that fairy tale structure broken down. If we look again at the features of a fairy tale, I think we can see how Jackson has tried to subvert some of these. So Maricat is not our princess. She's also not a hero. She has elements of both a hero and a villain. I think mostly hero in the case of our text. Constance is our princess that the hero must rescue and release from a spell, but she's not our protagonist. Charles is the villain rather than the prince, and his power that he has as the villain is the fact that he's a man, that if he marries Constance, he gets to own the house and he gets control and power of the Blackwood wealth. I also think it's interesting to think of Jonas as a magic talking animal, which is also one of the features of fairy tales. So why does this matter? I think it's not a massive element to understand when you are analysing this text, but it is an interesting one when you think about genre and conventions. Certainly this is a Gothic text, it's a novella, but I think it also has these elements of a fractured fairy tale. And when you think about this, it changes the way that you view the characters, and it also changes the way that you interpret the text. And we know that particularly when you are studying a text like this for VCE, you are trying to draw out meaning and ideas and then put forward an interpretation. So I hope this was helpful. It was a very quick one today. Pop any questions you might have in the comments below. Bye.